Hi, good morning. So we've arrived safely at the river, which is looking very good. Nice level for winter. Got a nice tinge on it. I'm fishing today on probably a few stretches of the Birmingham Anglers Association waters around Lindridge and Eastern Bridge. But yeah, there's many stretches of the River Teme where you can go and enjoy a day's fishing. The river itself isn't fished too heavy. I think quite a few anglers are put off with the challenging banks, and the fishing isn't easy. It can be a bit mixed, and the fish quite sensitive. Really, it's quite low generally, the river. Quite clear in the summer, so it can be a bit tough fishing, but it's worth it. Some good chub in the river and barbel. Today I'll be mainly trotting maggots, hoping for some chub, but actually there are grayling in certain stretches and trout as well. So I've been baiting up and putting some maggots out for just getting some feed in for about the last 15 minutes or so, just whilst I'm setting up. So yeah, looking forward to it. I'm going to try this spot for an hour or so and then perhaps move on. But yeah, looking forward to it. And as I say, I'm just going to finish packing up, setting up, and then get going. So yeah, let's do it. Cheers. Okay, I'll just run you through the tackle that I'll be using today. So we've got a fixed wall reel with 5 pound Drennan float fish, and then the rod is a Drennan 7 series 13-foot float rod. That comes down to a Drennan loafer float, fixed in place with 3 float rubbers, and then we've got a very simple shot-in pattern towards the bulk of the shot towards the hook, just to get that hook down towards the bottom. So we've just got 3 BB there down to 1, and then hook, I've got a size 14 Drennan wide gape 5 pound hook link, and I'll just be using a couple of maggots on the hook, and I'll be loose feeding maggots. So as you can see, got quite a few maggots. Got 4 pints today. Better to have too many than to run out. And I'm just going to spend a bit more time just putting in some feed and hopefully getting a few fish moving around. So yeah, the river's looking quite good today. Good conditions as well, overcast. It's quite mild as well. It was very cold in the week, quite a few frosts in the week, but it's surprisingly mild today. So all in all, I haven't got too many excuses to use today. So yeah, hopefully we'll get a few fish. Yeah, it's certainly looking good. A little bit of a wind on, which may make the float fishing a bit tricky. There you go, I'm using excuses already. But yeah, I've got a feeder rod, which I might give a go later on. But as I say, mainly the species I'm after today are chub. I'll be very happy if a grayling or a trout came along. Barbel is a potential, but that's not my main focus today. But yeah, we'll carry on putting in a bit more bait, and then probably give it an hour or so in this spot, and then move on. As I say, that is one downside of the team, I suppose, or which, to be honest, attracts me, but it can be quite challenging fishing. The banks aren't. I've been quite lucky today, but so far the banks are quite steep in places, can be quite dangerous. You've got to be very careful with your footings. Make sure you know the depth in front of you. And very often people do tie anchors at the top of the bank with rope coming down to help themselves back up. But yeah, not to scare anyone off. It can be a little bit tricky, but yeah, there's some nice chub and barbel I've had on the stretch in the past. I've had chub getting on for £5. The barbel here don't go massive, but they are absolutely stunning. And quite a few around the £7 and £8 mark. And I've managed, as I say, trout and a few cheeky trout and some grayling in the past as well. So I'm going to carry on putting some bait in, probably another 10 minutes or so, and then we'll see how we do. Okay, so I've probably given it about 20 minutes, half an hour of baiting up. I'm just going to have the first few runs down. Really, the first few casts is just to get a feel for the flow and the river and the depth. When you're trotting maggots, generally just or trotting of any sort, it's good to mend the line, just make sure it keeps that flow of the river, and every now and again you can just hold it back, slow it down, and that just lifts the bait. That's going through nicely. A little bit tricky to see the float with the glare of the sun, which is trying to come through. But yeah, that's a nice run through. Just going to give that a bit more depth. Trickling on the bottom, I can just lift it up slightly. I don't really feel the need too much to plummet. You can sort of find the depth from just having a feel around and a few trots down, just to get a feel for the river, rather than throwing in a plummet and causing disturbance. So I'm just using a couple of red maggots at the moment. If things do get a bit tricky, I'll might have to scale down slightly, but can be a bit snaggy. So obviously the fish do tend to pull back a bit. There you go, there's a fish. Brilliant, that didn't take long. Is that second run down? And it might be a grayling or a trout. Brilliant, second cast. Just shows how good the benefit of taking the time really just to bait up and get the fish moving. What have we got? Yeah, grayling, lovely. Brilliant. That's a beautiful fish. They're very wiry and hard to, sometimes a bit hard to hold up, but that is a beautiful fish. A great start, second run down. So they are a beautiful fish, grayling. That's a great start, really happy with that. Right, let's pop it back. Haven't really caught too many grayling from the team. They do put up a really good fight, so it's good to rest them up in the water. Get them, there you go. Get them to right themselves. Give them a few moments before you make sure they're good to go. Done quite a lot of grayling fishing on the River Teme in Hampshire over the years. They do tend to get a bit bigger down in the south in the chalk streams, but that is brilliant. An hour away from Birmingham. I'll let this one go. There he goes. So unfortunately just had a little technical issue, which meant you've just missed a nice grayling. So yeah, just caught another nice grayling. Probably about the same size actually as the first one. So bites might not be coming too swift, but yeah, probably been fishing for less than an hour and had a couple of nice grayling and one lost fish as well. So I could just do with nice chub really. So after that fish, I'm just going to keep the bait going in a little bit. Did fight quite well actually, the last fish, so might have disturbed the shoal if there is a shoal around. But yeah, the river's looking really good. Weather's been kind to me today. It's supposed to be 15-mile-an-hour winds and rain today, at least later perhaps, but it's for now it's, as I say, no excuses with the weather and the condition of the river. Okay, so after those two fish, I'm just going to have a quick go on the feeder. So I'll just run you through my tackle. So I've got a Shimano fixed ball reel, 6 pound line, and this is a Rovex feeder rod, 9 foot, which works quite well on the smaller rivers. Then that comes down to a feeder, boom and bead. For the feeder I've got a block end feeder, 60 gram. That comes down to a swivel, bit of tubing just to continue the boom along, and then I've got a small hook, size 14 with 3 maggots in this case. And then it's a simple case of filling it up, popping the cap on, and lobbing it out. Some would say it's more technical, which I suppose it is to a certain extent. I'm just going to see, let that go to the bottom, pay out a bit of line, just get a nice bow. And the rod, to be honest, the rod might be a little bit too light for these conditions, but looks like it's working well. Wind's picked up slightly, as you can hear. But yeah, I just wanted to give the feeder a go just to see if all that bait that I'd been putting in had been sort of resting on the bottom. If there is a shoulder fish, they might have just pushed back down the river following the feed. So I think it's quite nice just to give it a break and give it a break from feeding regularly and just see how we get on. Bites normally would just be a little sort of wrap on the tip. If you're lucky, it'll be a straight pull round. But you can get drop back bites where the tip just sort of springs back as the fish picks up the bait and lifts up the feeder. Yeah, we'll give it a little go. I think after catching a nice few fish, giving the swim a good go, so I'll probably move on, might actually move on to another stretch just down the road. But there's still plenty of time in the day, and I've still got a chance of catching a chub. Okay, so I've moved down to another stretch of the Teme, again on the Birmingham Anglers Association ticket. You can see here it's a little bit different to the last spot. But yeah, it looks really good. Very shallow here. You can see how steep the bank is on the opposite side there. Gives you a feel for how high the river actually gets in flood. But yeah, the river does look good. But I'm gonna head up upstream, have a little look around, and probably try out a few spots and see how we get on. Okay, I've just moved on to another spot, which may or may not be the last one for the day. I've got the feeder out at the moment. It's quite a nice deep hole down there. It's just on the maggot feeder at the moment. I might switch that over to meat a little bit later on. And then I'm going to trot some maggots on the far side. It's quite a nice run down. So I'm just in the process of spending 20 minutes or so just building up the swim and getting the maggots in there. I've also made up some mashed bread, which is as simple as some 4 slices of bread with some water. Mush it all together and leave it to soak for a little bit. Let's add some maggots in there. So yeah, I'm going to try trot in some bread flake as well. So yeah, very happy with the trip so far. A couple of grayling in the first spot, and then obviously the move to this stretch. I just took the two grayling at the top end there. Before I thought, no, let's move on and get some meat out and try some bread and see if we can't get a chub. Okay, we're into a much better fish here. This was hooked right at the end of the swim. I'll be a little bit careful of obviously just on the 5-pound line. I haven't quite got a feel for where it is. But this has got to be a chub. Oh, or maybe a barbel. That could be a barbel. That's got to be a barbel. This is going to be fun on this gear. Bending the rod. I was just starting to struggle a little bit with the wind. There's the float there. I was just starting to struggle a little bit with the wind, trotting down in a way I was happy with. And I was just thinking about moving on to bread, and I just hooked into this. And what is it? Oh, it is a barbel. Brilliant. It's a small barbel. That is brilliant. Oh, here we go. Try and find the snags. Whoa. I don't catch too many barbel in January, and even less on the float. The line's just wrapped around his fin there. Brilliant, look at that. Whoa. No, not down there. Look at that in the clear water. Lines wrapped round his fin a bit. Brilliant. Oh, that is great. Did not expect that today. Good stuff. Right, I'm just going to let him rest down there. Let him rest down there for a moment. That was a good fight for him. And then we'll get sorted. Okay, there we go. Nice barbel on a January day. About £4 or so. Beautiful big fins. Big barbels. Beautiful fish. Very pleased with that. Especially on the float. Alright, let's pop it back quick. Okay, so with any barbel, regardless of the time of year really, just make sure they have a little breather before you let them go. This one's moving very nicely already, but they do fight very strong, so it's always good to give them a good rest. Make sure, there he goes, look at that, nothing wrong with him. Okay, so after that barbel, I've just switched over the maggot feeder over to meat, flavoured meat, and I've put some hemp down there as well. It's quite a nice deep hole down there, which something might happen towards the end of the day. Just fed the swim for 10 minutes or so with maggots. Let's see if we can't get this elusive chub, or another barbel will do. The wind is making trotting a little bit difficult. But with 4 grayling and a barbel on a winter's day, I can't grumble at all. So I'm going to carry on trotting with the maggots for a little bit. Maybe try bread a little bit later, and I'll come back to you with any further action. Okay, so we're into another fish right at the end of the swim again. That was probably third run down. I'm tempted to guess that this is a chub. I'm going to tempt fate and say it's a chub. So it's coming in a little bit easier than the last fish. It hasn't ran yet like I would expect a barbel to. What we got? Oh! And he's off. We'll never know. So straight away, next cast into another fish, much smaller fish this one. What we got? Grayling, small grayling. Brilliant. Not quite the chub that I probably just lost, but never mind. Lovely fish. Just on the edge actually, that one. Hi, good afternoon. As you can see, the weather's turned on me slightly as forecast. So I think it's forecast now to rain for the rest of the afternoon into the evening. The wind's picked up slightly, which is an upstream wind, which is a bit troublesome when you're trotting. Oh, there you go, say that. There's a fish. That's quite a heavy fish. I was just about to say that I was going to switch over to a feeder just to end the session. But the fish have, I've been putting the maggots right at the top of the swim. But they haven't been coming up for it, and that all of the bites have been right down at the bottom of the swim, which is where I can hardly even see the float. And I'll put my hands up and say I didn't even see that bite. Obviously got to be a little bit careful on the banks here, especially when it's wet. So hopefully this is a chub I've been after today. Oh, it's going down that spot. Yes, it is. It's a nice chub. Right, I've seen it, so it counts. Is that how it works? Probably not. Right, stop messing around. In you come. Yes! Brilliant. Oh. Exactly what I wanted. That's got to be £3–4. Beautiful. I've been feeding that swim quite a lot of maggots this afternoon. There you go, beautiful. I can't remember what I was saying. I was probably moaning about the rain and the wind and not having caught a chub. But now everything is good. Everything is good in the world. I've managed, really enjoyed today actually. Obviously managed, I think 5 grayling. 5 grayling. I don't really do, little bump on there now. I don't really do too much grayling fishing anymore, so it was nice to, there you go, there's another one. So yeah, it was nice to catch some grayling today. The barbel obviously was the highlight. I mean, that was just completely unexpected. And obviously managed to just catch that chub, which was obviously one of the targets for today. What we got here? The grayling. Brilliant. So yeah, trying to do my little wrap up about going home. Happy, fish caught, and I'm still catching, so gotta be so careful on these banks though. There you go. Looks out. And there we go. Maybe that's come on now.
Maybe that's the last fish of the session, perhaps. God, they're so wiry. Yeah, lovely little grayling. Let's get it back. There you go. There she goes. Brilliant. So yeah, it's been a really good session. Really enjoyed it. Some nice few fish for a January. I spend most of the winter months after after the predators, after the zander and pike, so it's been a nice change to come down to the team and catch a few fish. So unless there's any more action, I will catch you next time. And of course, no doubt, I will carry on and get soaked, but who cares? So I'm still here. Just lost a chub. I've switched over to bread flake just to end the session on a few casts on bread flake. Unfortunately, just lost what I think was a chub, which was annoying. But yeah, I'm on a size 6 Camazan barbless hook with a nice lump of bread. Second run down, had a bite, but missed the fish. Never mind. Just need that wind just to die down. It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible to see the float, unfortunately. I probably should have switched over to a legend bait a while back, but the whole point of today really was to get a nice few fish on the float. Right then, let's try that again. We've got another chub on. Oh, he's not in a snag, is he? Oh, again, right at the end of the swim. I think it's a chub. Please stay on. So I've lost 2 chub today, unfortunately. So it'd be brilliant to get this one in. The rain's died off, which is good. And the wind seems to have calmed down as well. So looks like I might be good for half an hour or so into dark. Perhaps what we got, yeah, chub, lovely. Not a happy chub. Brilliant. let's get this in. Very muddy banks at the moment, so I've got to be really careful. There you go. Brilliant. Oh, that's wrapped up the day nicely, that. Let's have a look at what we got. Again, very slim. Very slim fish. Big old mouth chub. Look at that. Brilliant. That's probably about the same size, isn't it? About 2.5, 3 pound. Look at that. Lovely looking fish. Right, let's get it back. Not massive as chub go, but after losing a couple today, that's brilliant. Give him a few minutes to recover. If he needs it. No, he doesn't need it. There he goes. Brilliant. Excellent. Let's try and get another one. I've just cast out, I was just packing up, to be honest. I've just cast out the swim feeder with a fresh piece of meat on, and I cast it out towards where I was getting bites on the float, and it hasn't been in 5 minutes, and there's a fish on here already. I don't think it's a massive fish, but chub. It hasn't run like a barbel. Oh, it's gonna come on the inside, and that will struggle. I'm not falling into this one. Oh, it's a chub, yeah. Brilliant. Slightly better one, maybe. Beautiful. Right then, let's get this in. Looks a little bit bigger. That's brilliant. Oh, that is a bigger fish. Yeah. That's a bit heavier. Oh, nice looking one too. There's the feeder rig with just a hair rig on there with a lump of meat. That is a great way to end this session. That is a beauty. I'll give it a quick weigh, but I think that's probably 3.5, something like that. Okay, let's get this chub back. I did weigh it after all. Just over 3 pound. Brilliant. That's great. Hi, so we're all packed up in the car, just about to head off. So yeah, really good trip, really enjoyed it. Managed to get those few chub I was after. So yeah, I think ended the session with 3 chub, 6 grayling, and the barbel. So yeah, really enjoyed it. Really good day. Hopefully it'll get you interested in getting out there in a cold January day on the river. But yeah, it's certainly worth it. I think I probably could have caught a bit more today if I'd stuck with a feeder, but yeah, really enjoyed having a go on the float. So yeah, really good day, and no doubt I'll be back again, giving it another go. So until then, I'll catch you next time. Cheers.